is the Mike Trout one, which is probably the best box in the deal. Dano was asking, great question. Is there any vintage wax? I don't even know what's vintage anymore. Meaning, like, I know 50s is vintage, his 80s vintage, his 70s vintage, his 90s. This particular deal features boxes almost all exclusively from the 2000s, meaning from 2000, I think, all the way up to actually 2019. Okay, we're going to roll the dice. Corey, I think you're right, because I watched wrestling in the period where Coco Beware was active. I think he had a bird named Frankie. It was like a parrot or something. Yeah, oh, definitely. Coco Beware was amazing. I remember, man, we got a few drinks, Lou, one of these days. I can tell you about what my brother and I would do. We would imitate the wrestlers coming out. We would totally destroy my parents' living room. So, like I would take a blanket and put it around my head, and I'm like the Iron Sheik, right? Or like all sorts of stuff. And then the Ultimate Warrior was the worst because he would come in the ring and he would shake the ropes. So like we would do that, like, oh my God. If our parents caught us, it was very bad. I mean, all in a good way, but still, I think we caused some damage to the house. That's cool. Lou, I was just sharing with Ben Z, who's, friend of the show and participates in some breaks and stuff. We were emailing back and forth, and I was telling him about my hockey experience growing up. It was totally and only street hockey, meaning, like I know that there was an ice hockey rink in the state of New Jersey, but I certainly wasn't getting to it, and I certainly wasn't having it paid for. So I was explaining to him that I remember playing street hockey, one in shorts, two learning about one-timers for the first time was fantastic. And then I don't know about you, but we played with two different types of, if you will, like one was an orange ball, and then one was actual like a black or orange puck. But that orange ball, I don't know if you remember that in the winter. If you caught that, like, you'd go home, and my mom was like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, I don't know, Mom, but I need better equipment. She's like, "That's why you're not going to play ice hockey." Great, no problem. Sure. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Listen, without that, there's no game. With no game, then you have to stay home all day. No one wants that. He must have been pretty good. In your neighborhood, he was. I remember we used to play in the literal street, so that if you actually missed the net, sometimes the puck or the ball would go flying. But then on a rare occasion, if someone's mom and dad weren't home, we could use the garage, and then at least the goal on one side was against the garage, and if you had a goal on the other, because usually it was just like one team, one goalie. You'd have one goalie, right? But if you're fortunate and you could have enough players, you would be able to do two different goals. So if that was the case, you'd have one goal against the garage, the other goal on the other side, not necessarily the driveway, but in the street. And then, every few minutes you'd have to pick up the net when a car would come down. Um, yep, car. And then, of course, you'd have the one neighbor, your mom would come talk to you that night. That Mrs. D called. Oh, how's she doing? You were doing the thing with the street again with the hockey. Where do you want me to play, Mom? I can't play in the backyard. That's not how hockey works. And that's the way how I would talk to my mom. Like, trying to be very rational. Totally. Totally. That's a great question. No, I don't. That Yeah, I think so. I don't remember the names, but I definitely remember the snakes. And if I'm not mistaken, I mean, I'm sure someone could Google this. I think that I mean, I don't want to say. I think he's doing comedy. Like Mike, our main breaker, Mike, was like, hey, you see the snake's going to be at so and so. We should open a pack with him. I'm thinking like he's at a wrestling event doing a meet and greet. I think he's pursuing a comedy career. I could be wrong, but I think so. Oh, the barber. I I think the Dragon had some choice words for the barber. I don't think he was particularly impressed with him. I feel like we can get a rematch, actually, if we get him in the same room. That'd be great if we could actually cause like a rift again. You know, like Jake the Snake hates the Dragon now, and they're going to get back into like, you know, for one last time. Like Old Timers Day for WWF. Do they have that even? I'm just thinking, like, I'm going to talk to these fancy WWE people from Manhattan, like, when we have our meeting. So I have this crazy idea on a show I have. Do you guys do Old Timers Day? Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, oh, my God. I'm sure you and others. Yeah, Jordan, we're going to give that away next Halloween, the '09 Bowman Draft Box. 1 pack per person of the Sheldon household. Bobby Ojeda was a good pitcher in my mind. Ted Simmons. Yep. Hey, thanks for joining us, Scott, and starting a watch party. Really appreciate everyone hanging out today. We've had a really nice crowd watching. We're giving away some nice prizes in just a few minutes. At 5:25, we'll cut off the list. Another Hall of Famer in it, Tony Perez. A little bit off center, unfortunately. Bobby Ojeda was a good pitcher. He was a good pitcher at a time the Yankees had no pitching, so I would have taken anyone. Yeah, sort of, definitely. Ronnie Kittle. Yeah, I have no doubt. Hey, what's up, Drew? It's my buddy's got his own podcast. Let Me Get That Potograph. Check it out. It is fantastic. That's correct. Sweet Lou. Hey, Jim. I was trying to get through the whole episode. I didn't want to talk about football. God. You know, the issue is, it was, this is only a 12-card pack. It was Sports Talk Radio on a Monday. It was actually entertaining because Joe Beningo, who's on the Fan, was just trashing not just Gase, but like the franchise, just everything was going off. And listen, rightfully so. It's an embarrassment. Listen, you got to hit rock bottom before you start improving, right? So that's the way I look at it. They just didn't hit rock bottom yet. Although, if this wasn't rock bottom, I'm not really sure what rock bottom is for them. They're actually playing the Giants this week, I think, right, Sam?
Yeah, we need to check their schedule, but I think you're right.
And, you know, it used to be a big deal, and now it's like, all right, well, who's going to have the better draft pick? That's really all it comes to. You know, that's the only reason it matters.
Yeah, they played this week.
So 14 left. So it's funny. I just got. Oh, that's awesome. I'm glad that Jim listens to Drew's podcast. It's great.